I think we're live this time. We just got a weird error message. First time I've ever seen it saying this message could not go live. And so I clicked it again. It shows it's live now, so I hope it's working. Gotta love Google, all the technology implemented. Sometimes doing Hangouts still doesn't work. It's always a beta test. So I know more people will join us. Thanks for joining for those of you who are in here. Let's go ahead and do some introductions, and then we're going to have a few little ground rules, and then we're going to jump into some news for the week. And we're going to talk about some SEO issues that people have had as well, and we're going to mix those in there together. So we're going to do some mixing, so that way it's not all news and it's not all talking about someone's site. It's combined in there, and it works a little bit better. I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. I'm Matt Storms. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for watching. If you're subscribed to us on YouTube, thank you. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. That way these videos show up in your inbox, and you don't just have to come and find them. You just know that they're there every week, and you can watch them at your leisure, or leisure, as some British people will say. Or maybe Wassam says it like that too. But I know Sash does. So, anyways, thanks for joining. Go ahead and introduce yourself. So let's go my right to left, and I'll call your name out. Go ahead, Wassam.
Wassam Dandam from Daytona Beach, Florida, international SEO consultant.
On everyone's favorite TSA no-fly list.
Yep.
All right, go ahead, William.
William Rock, just another geek in the internet.
Outstanding. Josh. You're muted, Josh.
You're muted.
Josh, you actually have to unclick the mute button.
Oh.
Hey, it's because you're Canadian. You couldn't find the button.
I'm drunk already. I'm Canadian, so it's noon here, so I'm already drunk. No. My name is Josh Bashinsky, and I'm an SEO with 13 years experience. And, yeah, that's it.
With the most technologically savvy haircut in the hang.
That's right.
Don.
Went to the barber yesterday.
Nice. Don.
Hi, I'm Don Helber from Inbound Marketing out of Victoria, British Columbia, currently in Costa Rica.
All right. And Barry.
I'm Barry Schwartz. I'm naming the latest Google local search algorithm update to the Google Pigeon update.
I don't want to call it the Pigeon update myself. I don't think that's an appropriate name for being local. I think a dog is local, so I want to see the Dalmatian update.
Too bad, it's already done.
I'm going to call it Dalmatian. That's
Nobody's going to know what you're talking about, but you can call it whatever you want.
Hey, you know what? That's 9 times out of 10. That's what most SEOs do anyways, it feels like. All right, so let's set some ground rules. We have one subject today we cannot talk about. One subject. Say that again.
SEO.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Only one subject I don't want to talk about today, and that's negative SEO. We've already talked about it too much. We're going to move on from that. We're going to move on to other cool things. We're going to move on to other good stuff. So with that, let's talk about what Barry was talking about, the Pigeon/Dalmatian update. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. Then we're going to talk about some map stuff. William had some interesting interaction with Google dealing with some maps issues. And then if anybody has any site issues they want to talk about, want to bring up, things like that, then we're going to jump into a little bit of that. Okay, so that's how we're going to structure the first half, and then we're going to jump into other stuff as time proceeds. Cool? Thumbs up? All right. All right, so go ahead, Barry. You want to go ahead and talk about the Dalmatian/Pigeon update?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Pigeon update. Basically, all right, hold on, let me bring it up. Sorry. Process of actually writing these posts right now. So last night, around 8 p.m. Eastern time, Google pushed out a local search algorithm update. It's more tied directly to the web search ranking factors, specifically including using a lot of their ranking signals, and as well as some search features like knowledge graphs, spelling corrections, and synonyms. It also does a better job, supposedly according to Google, for improving their distance and location ranking parameters. And it was pushed out last night. It only impacts the U.S. English search results at this current time. They have nothing else to add outside of that, I specifically did ask, are there any spam features related to this? And they said no. This is more of a equate it more to a hummingbird versus a panda update, more on that end of stuff. They would not name it, so we decided to just name it 5 seconds ago the pigeon update. Thanks for all your input, Matt. And it's live right now. So it's actually, it seems from my coverage, I looked at in detail in the search forums and stuff like that, a lot of people are noticing major changes, and a lot of people actually have been impacted by this, either in a negative way or in a positive way, obviously. And I even have screenshots from a search result I did in the Google Maps result from earlier this week to this week for a search result for ice cream, and the results are completely different. So again, this impacts the local search results both in Google Maps as well as in Google Web Search when local results come up. Derek.
So I will say I just ran a test of one of my favorite localized keywords, and I'm not saying that I ever get this done. Not who I am. Nail salon San Francisco. I don't get my nails done. I usually chew my nails off.
Whatever you need. Yeah, sure you don't.
They're not strip clubs, as one of the things I want to note.
Probably a strip club.
Strip clubs. So, if you search nail salon San Francisco in an incognito window like I did, and I set my location to San Jose, is where I'm currently living, the first 9 results are all Yelp reviews and Yelp pages and Yelp inside search result pages, which is a bridge page. It should not be indexed. And then I get a 7-pack, and then I get, oh wow, look at that, an actual real-life nail salon website. And so I'm not seeing too much of a quality improvement when this is one of my major keyword terms that I use to test and see if they're fixing local things. So maybe it's an edge case that never changes, but that's just me.
I think something. You brought up the Yelp. I wanted to know from real-world experiences what. Admittedly, here in Costa Rica, we don't have addresses, believe it or not. So local's not a really big thing for me right now. Yes, my agency deals with local, but I'm not that guy. So what's your experiences with Yelp anyway? You said the top 3 or the top results were showing for that phrase that you were looking at were Yelp. I'd like to know your experiences.
The top 9 results are Yelp.
Well, there you go. So I'd like to know everybody's experiences. If you can chime in, I'd like to know how many of you actually work with Yelp or do anything with Yelp, or what your thoughts are, period, on Yelp.
Basically, I have a client that just advertise on it, and for the money spent, is doing a perfect solution. It's a transportation limousine type of company, and they love it. For I think $500, calls, all of that, and the cool thing about it is, also reviews. People are very loyal. Yelp users are very loyal to follow back and just leave a review and all of that. So I really recommend it for any restaurant, any local.
The problem still is it's too easy to manipulate. And if you're looking at even like a doctor, for example, it's easy for an employee, so to say, to actually log in and create an account and then just put a bad thing against their employer, which happened to be the doctor. And then now you have a bad review out there that Yelp won't get rid of because somebody obviously put it there. Doesn't matter if the name says Michael Jordan.
I mean, usually a bad review is not a bad thing. At least you can feel that there's positive and negative. I'll get actually more.
Yeah, it's like if I only see 5-star reviews and they just say awesome, amazing, great place, awesome. I almost think that's spam.
The sad thing
it is.
The Google reviews, even for a pizza parlor, I've got pizza parlors takes right back into the nail salon is basically my testing for a local search, whereas there's tons of other parlors around it that are very, very brand heavy, where he doesn't have the money to actually compete, but he still actually wins with local. Even the image scroll on the top in the searches. I mean, those are the hardest things to get, but then it's all pulled from his Google image, Google Plus profile. I mean, we kind of went into that, and it was actually pictures that my daughter had taken that got indexed, which just kind of blows me away. Because they were just random pictures, but they had the GPS, they had the actual GPS coordinates on them when she shot them in the restaurant. And so when they were uploaded to Google, data was picked, or Google Plus was actually able to take the data from where that was in the store that's already being, pushed out there anyways with our car shows or whatever. But that's just one example of how local can really do something versus just trying to do, like these review or comment or spam, or sorry, I call them spam, is basically Yelp is basically, if you look at your results, and I don't want to call it all spam, but if you look at your Google Analytics results and you look at all the review sites that you have coming in, what are your positive, what are your negative? Are they converting? Are they not converting? Are they also just leaving your site? So you have to look at the deep analytics of what happens with any review or referral site. But that's my 2 cents. I'm getting out.
I agree. I mean, there's some definite issues. I mean, I was at PubCon a couple years ago, and it was right after the Cornell study came out on what do you call it? Content review spam, and so it was really quite interesting. I think there's some definite issues with people leaving fake reviews and things like that and stuff, and it's a sad thing that people would even bother to waste their time to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go and, spend the effort and set up fake profiles to leave, positive or negative reviews. I think it's just a waste of effort. I've got better things to do, and I hope all of you here in this Hangout and the people who are watching have better things to do than to actually do that. And if anybody who is watching right now, we've got a decent amount of viewers, if you want to come and join the Hangout, just ping us on Helpdesk Hangouts on Google Plus, and you can join. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about some SEO issues. Has anybody seen any SEO issues this week that they want to talk about? Go ahead. Anybody who wants to be first?
Well, you want to talk about the new Google Map again?
So let's go ahead and talk about that, and then as everybody here is thinking about an issue that they've either had to deal with themselves or for a client, we can talk about that next. So go ahead, William.
Well, you and I were talking about...
Billy. You know that? I always want to call you Billy.
You're fine. You're fine, Maddie. Anyhow, where we kind of started in our conversation, you and I were just kind of talking about the update that just came out from Google. But what I saw about 2 weeks ago was I was having issues with a couple of my clients' listings as well, and one of them happened to be a plumber, and his location, it was in Kansas, now he's in Denver, but then he still has to service his clients in Kansas, so he's got a post office. Anyhow, I was able to go through the Google My Business and find a fun little icon that said call me, and I was able to actually put my information in, my telephone number, as I was logged in, and then it basically said somebody will be in contact with you in a few minutes. It was not even 30 seconds and my phone rang, and you can't call it back. But they basically said, calling from Google. So I actually talked to finally somebody in Google, and this lady was awesomely smart. But she helped me figure out that there was a problem with the GPS coordinates of the map application, not the location of the address. So it was kind of a little glitch that they had found, but that's what they're able to do. I had no idea that this was available for anybody.
It's great. Always bypass doing anything yourself. Just call that phone number or press that call me now button. It fixes your issue almost in 48 hours.
Well, depends on your issue, right?
Most issues.
I mean, you might actually get kind of shut down by the technician and say, well, guy, think about what you're doing. You might be wanting to back off on some of the spammy techniques you're doing.
No, I mean, if you're doing something, if there's a real issue with your listing, a basic issue with your listing, that it really fixes it almost immediately. It's almost great.
Instead of going out in the help form, I mean, the help forms are great. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, this is fast. I mean, a business, even some of the guys I've been working with, they got sick and tired of, changing, going, they want to run their business. They put their stuff up on Google and says, here's my stuff. But then, as the business keeps going, if they didn't have somebody to constantly watch that, they wouldn't really know that they actually were put out of the index because they got their listing got shut down for a content penalty, I think, or some type of violation. But it was basically said click here for help, and then basically took you to their help forms to answer all the questions. Is there a business name? Is there a state in your address or your business name listing? Simple stuff like that they went through, but very helpful. That's a big step for Google, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
Like that for
They are expanding a lot of things. Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, that phone number's been available for I think about a year or so now. If you read my blog, you would have known that. So.
Oh no, this is a different one. No, Barry, this is a different number. You can't call them. It's basically still right in the actual My Business. It's that new when you're in your Google listing, Google Plus listing, and then basically you drop down from your profile to your listing over to your drop down from My Business listing, and that's where that was.
Yes.
Yeah, it has been on there for a while. I've just never bothered to call it. I haven't had an issue. But as always, all of us should always be reading Barry's blog and making obscene and insane comments. I thoroughly encourage anybody to go in there and make great comments. And Barry, your blog is?
Land.
Search Engine Land, Search Engine Roundtable. It was posted on July 22nd, 2013, so just over a year ago when I wrote about it.
Yeah, so it's been on there for a while, but no, it's still a great feature. And the thing is, I thought, hey, let's bring it up. I knew it was there. I never called it personally. I said, hey, we get a lot of people who are new to the SEO world who watch this Hangout. And how many times have you guys heard regurgitated stuff? Well, it could be regurgitated, but for somebody else, and so that's the big thing. It needs to be there. New things are good. Rehashing old stuff is good for people because people who are new to the industry, they're not going to know all of the stuff in the previous, and that's why a lot of times when I sit down with clients, I make a point of spending like an hour to 2 hours and breaking stuff down for clients and saying, okay, well, let's talk about the history of search. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about what led us up to today and what we need to do for the future. And that helps paint the clearer picture. And a lot of people, they don't know that, and that's okay. And yeah, Barry writes about this stuff. But you know what? A lot of times, a lot of people don't know the history of things. And so it's always good to bring stuff up. And I thank you, William. I do appreciate that a lot. All right, so Don has one thing here, a redirect case. Don, go ahead and lay it out for us. If you can give us a URL, that would be awesome. Usually you need to be able to figure that out.
Not in this case. Not in this case. But I can tell you this study was over 10 months.
Okay.
And it was a hot subject last week because I believe Mueller had mentioned that a redirect from one site to another should not impact the receiving site in any way, correct?
Maybe.
Yeah, I know that Barry has his thoughts on it, and I happen to side in your corner. But
no, he said 3 different things, 3 different ways. So it depends when you were listening.
Well, in this case, let me lay it out for you how it actually went down. The client bought a expired domain. 301 redirected it to his domain. All of a sudden, his domain became punished in about, I believe, somewhere around 18 days. 18 days later, it became punished, and everything sunk. all his rankings and everything sunk. And we were all trying to figure out how this happened and where it was coming from. And when we looked at the URL, it turned out that the 301 redirected site, although it wasn't spammy, there was no spammy backlink profile, it actually had a very nice backlink profile. Very natural, absolutely nothing spammy. However, when we ran it through, what's it called, Security or whatever, it came back that it had it was a cloaked domain. So I'd seen many cases of redirects and stuff like that where the site never got punished, but I'd never seen one where the 301 redirect was put into place and the site literally sewered like this one. And I have to assume that it couldn't be from the backlink profile because it was really rather clean and natural. It had to be this cloak at some point or whatever. But I was told that I don't know exactly what penalty would have hit it, but it's clear as day. It did get hit really hard. And 10 months later, since that event happened, it's never recovered. Even though the 301 has been disconnected, and I sent it through to some other sites to test it on, and I didn't see any impact on authority sites, sending it to authority sites to see if it would do anything. But I'd just like to know your thoughts on that, because definitely with a cloaked domain, something as serious, I know how Google treats cloaked domains, it's very serious for them. But yeah, a 301 cloaked domain will, in my experience, bury a site.
So who
Depending the site. Okay.
Negative SEO that Matt didn't want to talk about.
Okay, yes, yeah, I just realized that. It looks like I crossed over that line, but I can only...
To answer your question there, Don. Sorry, Don. To answer your question, there's any number of things that could be going on there. The original site could have been spidered and they're not spidering anymore, or there's multiple trust factors that Google has to see for them to rank anything any which way. So, for example, Mueller had a Hangout just a couple days ago where I asked him about 301ing from HTTP to HTTPS. And he said, you should do a 301, you should do a rel canonical, you should have all your internal links posted over. They're looking not at one signal, even if it's a strong signal, they're looking at multiple signals for different things. So, yeah, so in your case, even if a site... And one thing had happened before, there could be 8 other little things that are going on that you need to look at as well.
Yeah, and I agree on that. I mean, if you want to go HTTP to HTTPS, let's go back to HTTPS everywhere at Google I/O. If you did not watch that training video, 45 minutes in length, you need to go and watch that. It has some of the best information in there. You need to go and you need to do full HTTPS on all your stuff, on all your links, all your canonicals. You need to have it on every single page of your website. You cannot do just one little segment of it and just, I'm going to go from non-dub to or non-HTTPS to HTTPS, and that's it. No, you've got to do it everywhere. And I'm actually working with a client right now, and that's what they want to do. And so they wanted to go secure because they saw that video, and I made some comments and I made a blog post about it, and so they reached out to me and I said, okay, if you're going to do this, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And they're like, no, we want to do it. And I'm like, okay. And you've got to understand that you can't just do a redirect. They thought they could, and that's why they had to end up going full HTTPS. And let's see, Thomas, you wrote, only if you need it on your site right. Actually, I'm encouraging to do full HTTPS on any website. You can get a certificate now pretty cheap, actually. You can get a shared certificate if you want to. There's different levels of certificates. Go and I would research that on your own. I'm not going to give any pointers or any pointing direction to any of the people who are providing them. because I think that in the next few years that those companies who are selling certificates are going to make billions of dollars in stock prices. So I'm not going to give any tips to that.
Well, hey,
but I would.
What I was primarily looking at is because I am admittedly ignorant to these cloaking tactics. I never done that kind of stuff before. So this was the first case I'd ever seen before. So have you guys worked with cloaked domains and how Google treated those in the past? Any of you?
I had one client that had a cloaked domain, and the first thing I did, within 10 minutes of signing the contract, I ordered their developer to shut the site down.
Yeah, I can see, but that leads me, well, I don't want to cross that line like you outlined, but I'm wondering, I'd never seen anything like it. And I appreciate what Josh is saying. There could be many other factors, but I don't know. I looked at a lot of stuff. And so did a lot of other people in this one case over a 10-month period. And I have to say, it's still not recovered.
And sometimes a site is not going to recover. Sometimes a site gets burnt so bad. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We need to move. So William, what did you say? We need to move on for what? What's going on? All right.
He was subtly trying to indicate that the topic perhaps should move to another one.
Outstanding. So Josh.
Yes, sir.
What would you like to talk about right now?
Well, I just wanted to comment, and if I break up, someone just wave your hand or let me know. I just wanted to comment on the pigeon update, as Barry calls it.
Dalmatian.
The Dalmatian update, the local update that Google just made. I just want to give my 2 cents. I don't find it surprising at all that Google is now using third-party reviews. That it's important for third-party reviews. In my opinion, I think they've been using this well in web search, and now it's. I think Wassam is right. If you have a couple negative reviews, this is not going to be a problem. But you definitely need to have on par mostly good reviews, better reviews than negative reviews. And in terms of the Google Places listing, I think it's definitely important to fill the entire thing out. In fact, have you guys heard of the enhanced listings, the Google enhanced listings?
Why don't you go ahead and talk about those for people who've never heard about that, explain it Barney style, and then work it up to what we're at now.
Okay. So if you Google business photographers.
Will you crash the internet? If you Google?
Yeah, go onto Google and search for Google business photographers and look for them in your area. They can provide what's called an enhanced listing, and basically they'll give you a 360-degree tour your building, right? Your front foyer or whatever. And not only that, but they can help confirm the services that you offer, the categories that you offer. So I think it's very important for you to confirm the categories that you're in to get these enhanced listings, and to make sure you fill out the entire Google Places listing. If you have any free parking, definitely list that there, or any kind of perks or bonuses you can get for your customers. Did I break up? Did you hear me?
It worked for me. A few other people said you broke up, but it was working for me. I guess I have a really good connection.
Maybe I just want to break up with them. Maybe I'm just in love with you, Matt.
Maybe. Google Places photographers, if you have a business, I strongly suggest you use it. It can be very, very powerful. I've worked with a few of them with my clients to get them. I almost became a Google Places photographer until I realized you actually needed a certain type of camera and certain type of equipment that Google wants you to use, and then they have software that they want you to use, and they'll let you use it to stitch everything together. So it's all their stuff that they've designed, and you're free to use their stuff, and you can make some decent money too. So if you have the photography bug, I would check out Google Trust a Photographer. I almost did it, but I didn't have the right camera. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've helped clients go through that as well, and it's a free piece of marketing. Right? You have to pay for it the one time, but it's a piece of marketing that it stays on Google forever. Your 360-degree tour should be, as the faces will get grayed out, but if you're a lawyer site, for example, you should literally in the 360-degree tour, in my opinion, you should have a guy in a suit shaking the hand of, if it's a family law practice, of a mom with a child, shaking their hand kind of thing. It's a piece of with your business, and I think you should definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, keep in mind this is not going to work for every business. So if you're like Josh, or not, sorry, if you're like Thomas, you have a pest control business, it's not really going to work, filming the, because you're going to have like a warehouse where you're going to store pesticides. You don't want people coming to your warehouse. It doesn't make sense. If you have a law office or you have a restaurant or you have a place where people are coming to you and they're a spa or something like that, that's the perfect place to do it. And you're not paying Google. You don't pay them. You're actually paying a third-party person, kind of like hiring an SEO. You're going to hire some photographer and they're going to do the stuff. It's actually pretty cool. It's pretty different. So I would check it out. I think you'd enjoy it if you have a small business, an SMB, or even a large business to benefit from it. I want to see more businesses do that to create a Maps profile, because sometimes I'll go to restaurants and if I'm taking my wife out on a date, what's the first thing I'm going to look at? I want to see the menu prices because I want to know how broke I'm going to get. And then the second thing, I want to see what the place looks like. And so going from there, is trying to figure out, what, if I want to go to that restaurant. So I would try to keep that, I would try to keep that in mind. All right. So, So do we have any SEO questions for this week as far as any other issues besides Don? Don had one, so Don's already knocked his out for today. Josh, do you have any other ones?
Well, I was just wondering, has anybody happened to take a look at the Google Raters Guideline or at Jennifer Slegg's synopsis of it?
I did.
I happened to see Jennifer Slegg's synopsis of it, and I thought it was really interesting how heavily they're relying upon third-party reputation signals. This could be tied to the bad merchant algorithm. What people are saying about you, not just links, but if they're saying you're good, if you're bad, if they're saying you're a scam, those kinds of things.
I agree. Hey, Josh, can you do me a favor? Can you button the top button on your flannel there and then flare it out for me?
Is that some gang symbol? I don't want to be part of some gang I don't know about. There.
Now you are the part of the hipster.
What's the proper gang symbol to use?
You are a gang member in there. Okay, outstanding. That is perfect. That's why I want to see that for the rest of the Hangout. Okay.
No.
Thank you. All right, no problem. Thomas, do you got anything this week that you've seen? Any questions or anything like that you want to talk about? I can't hear you, Thomas. I don't know if you have a mic. No mic. Okay, no problem. All right. Let's see. We talked about William. Okay, Wissam, what do you got? Have you seen anything unique this week?
No.
No? All right.
To be honest, I actually did like a research when yesterday they announced it, and that's about it, me being on Google and doing certain searches, seeing something new or not. I'm basically on client sites, and that's about it.
All right. Barry, do you have anything else?
I always have something. What do you want? Talking about missing planes?
Well, I will make a couple of things. So I'm gonna make a couple of things in case I forget, because we're right at the top of the hour. I've got to jump to another Hangout with someone, so I'll have to literally bounce. I cannot go a minute longer than the hour if we do go that long today. But I will be speaking at SMX East, so I will see Barry out there. So if any of you are going or attending SMX East this year, I will be speaking in the technical track on Infinite Scroll. That is the topic. Oh, now I can hear you, Thomas.
There we go.
Loud and clear.
Nice.
All right.
That's much better.
How is Arizona?
Arizona, oh, it was less than 100 degrees on my way to work this morning, so it was nice.
All right. So have you seen anything in the last week, or have you have any client issues or website issues? And just full disclosure, everybody can go find it. You work on a pest control website mostly.
Entirely, pretty much.
Yes. So obviously you're dealing with a lot of bugs.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I was really happy actually with the local people that are crying about it, and I'm not happy about Yelp. Yelp's been in the local for a while now, and it's fairly annoying how well they do. I don't think that's as much Google as it is Yelp actually doing a little better SEO. But with the local pack right now, they are showing suburbs for the metro areas. So you can actually rank for my example, Tulsa Pest Control. I've got a location outside of the actual Tulsa that's ranking. That I haven't seen that since, I don't know, like 99 they tried that, and I haven't seen it since then. So I'm happy about it right now.
And are you seeing any problems with the website you're working on and things like that, or trying to get stuff to rank and things like that?
Local's always changing. There's a lot more players involved now for me than there was when I started, so it's gotten more competitive. Overall, and this is something I mentioned at SMX, overall their ranking factors over the last year or so, and I haven't checked with the latest update, but the ranking factors have shifted more towards actually identifying entities and businesses than actual SEO factors, like the citation stuff that people were blowing out of the water, trying to game the local SEO the way they would traditional SEO just doesn't fly right now. You have to be an actual business with business listings and locations, and Google wants to verify that.
Yeah, it is interesting, and I think that as time goes on, we're going to see more in that aspect of growing more in that area.
I like what Barry's saying there. The SEOs and web designers that have shown up in local. That's I think Google's really, especially talking to Joel Headley, they really lightened up on their defensive mode they had with local for so long, where they just distrusted the business owners, and they were trying to trust users more than business owners. And I think it's a good move, honestly. I'd really love to see Google trust businesses more. I hate the fact that I've had to re-verify one location 6 times in 1 month because some user keeps saying that it's not a legitimate location. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but it is being cleaned up, though. I look forward to getting rid of all of the goofy taxi, limo.
Come on.
Hey,
No,
Wassam, don't tell me you were one of the SEOs who created 100 listings of a taxi agency in a city.
No, it's only one listing.
Okay.
The right listing. You just need one right listing.
Yeah.
One of my very first clients when I went in-house, one of my first clients when I was at a firm, the very first firm I was at, I'm not going to say which one, you guys can go look it up if you want, but the very first firm I was at, the first client was a limo company out of Toronto. And and what he had done is he had created about 50 different locations all around the city. And then he got a letter from Google saying that he was a spammer and that they were shutting down all of his profiles, and he couldn't figure out why. So I had to go in and clean them all up. And,
Did you actually get him back on the maps? Did they let him back in after they blacklisted him?
We did. It took me about 3 months.
Different name. Did he have to change his identity?
He did not.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
I knew the person who was the community manager at Google on top of on Maps, and that's how I actually found out about the search forum and Webmaster Central forum at that time, and I jumped into the forums and started participating. So if you guys want to participate, please do that. I think that you'd be beneficial to help out in those forums. I know Barry loves to visit the forums, visits them all the time, and I strongly suggest you come and visit and participate. We're always looking for new rising stars and top contributors, and you get some great benefits out of it. This year, they're actually holding a meetup for all the top contributors and the rising stars in the world in all different locations around the country and the world, actually. Unfortunately, since I live 20 miles from Mountain View, you guys can all pretty much guess where I'm going. So I get a drive. Where other people get to take a flight to cool places, I just have to take a drive. I'm kind of bummed about it, but oh well. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about links.
Okay.
You're boring me with your rising stars and rainbow sunshines and stuff like that.
Double rainbows.
Moz. So Rand Fishkin,
I saw that.
he posted on the Moz blog about a person who posted on UMoz guest post where Google actually cited his domain as having link site violations for over the quality guidelines. And one of the examples they gave was on the Moz user-generated content site, which is obviously UMoz, as one of the examples of a link that was in violation of Google's quality guidelines. Now, clearly this, well, not so clearly, but as all you guys know, that Moz was not penalized, but the website that Moz was linking to was under a violation of a manual action. So it wasn't a penalty that Moz was in trouble. It was more of an issue that this domain that was being linked to was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there was a lot of confusion in the industry around that. Everyone's like, oh, Moz got a penalty. Moz did not get a penalty, although they probably deserve penalties according to you guys. No? Okay, no.
Maybe?
Maybe.
No.
Maybe not. I was joking. So that's a very clear distinction. And obviously everybody's looking at this article saying what caused the penalty. Was it keyword-rich anchor text? Was it too many links? Was it stuff that was hidden later? Was it stickers or rising star logos in the post or whatever it might be? But I thought that was a very interesting topic. I did email Google about it. They didn't really respond too well, so nothing I can really use. But I thought that was interesting. So everybody's lesson learned. Everybody should go to UMoz, post as much content as they possibly can with a lot of long anchor text and keyword-rich anchor text.
So, was it a manual penalty on that? I wasn't quite clear on the post.
Anything like that is a manual penalty. Google won't tell you about an algorithmic penalty.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. My take is on the manual penalties. They hand out manual penalties a lot of times because their algorithm can't penalize people for certain things. So when they look at those links, I think you kind of get an insight to the Google psyche over there sometimes, and anything where you're manipulating the search with your keyword-rich anchor text is a violation of Google guidelines.
Whether you meant to or not.
So then, Kim Kraus-Berg from Create a Site Forums, who's been in the SEO web space since Matt was in diapers. Oh, I'm sorry. And she's
Matt Cutts or Matt?
No, Matt Storm. Matt Cutts has been Google since the 90s also.
You know how old I am, Barry?
Well, you were in the Army, so you didn't get in the workforce until after that. So you're baby.
I am 36 years of age.
You're older than I am. You know that? I'm 34.
Wow.
I bet I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You're Middle Eastern, so you already have the beard when you were 4.
Anyway.
Your beard's not showing enough red for 36, or enough white for 36.
Waist down.
Look, I'm 34. Look at my hair. All gray. And
Yeah.
Anyways, you were talking.
Are you hiding a bald spot back there? Is that what that's for?
No.
Just kidding. Sorry. I'm
all
just
good.
teasing.
Anyway, let's keep going.
Anyway, what was it talking about? Totally forgot.
Penalty on.
Moving right along. If I could chime in on this Moz thing, everyone's freaking out. This was the issue, Thomas, is that the site got a manual penalty, and in the example of bad links that Google sent them, the UMoz link was an example of a bad link. And Rand Fishkin freaked out, saying that our links at UMoz are all edited, we checked them all, none of them are bad links. Of course, the problem is this completely subjective determination to what bad is. In my personal opinion, it has nothing to do with good or bad links. It has everything. That exact match anchor text has been abused, and it messes with their algorithms. And so whether you want to manipulate their algorithm or not, if you have two exact match anchor texts pointing to you, those are the kind of links that they're going to select. Obviously, there's a few other factors thrown in there, but because it was an anchor-rich link, that's why it ended up in that semi-automated list of bad links.
Well, in my opinion on it is it must have actually been passing some juice and doing them some good in order for them to say, hey, we want you to remove that.
Well, it was doing something. All links do something. Even no-follow links and just mentions do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Kim Krause-Berg while I was going off on a tangent. She's been around for a while. Anyway, she's one of these like usability people, always vouching for usability, users, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. Anyway, she was talking about how Google's targeting user-friendly links by encouraging people not to use keyword-rich links. Because back in the day, before Google was like, all the usability gurus are like, don't link to places saying click here. Tell them in anchor text what the link's can actually link to. So she was like, going off on a rant about how using keyword-rich anchor text now will get you in trouble. Obviously, if you don't know following and stuff like that, but that is against building out user-friendly links by not having keyword-rich links. Matt's rolling his eyes.
I like keyword-rich links. I mean, if you're going to talk about, juicy barbecue burgers, I want to see the link of juicy barbecue burgers, and then take me to the link with a page that has an H1 tag of juicy barbecue burgers about the content or some content that's closely related to that link. I want to see that type of stuff. I wouldn't want someone to give me that type of anchor text with a link that takes me to, something about visiting, Monterey Bay Aquarium here. That would be confusing to me. I like good anchor text. I don't like to see click here. If you do a Google search for click here, what do you get? Adobe #1 for their Adobe, reader, PDF reader. So I don't like click here.
But it's completely hypocritical. Google has said numerous times, Miley Oye's SEO document, How to Do SEO, her video, you can search it on YouTube, specifically says to use keyword-rich anchor text as a description to clearly describe, like juicy barbecue burgers, what you're going to find when you click on that link.
I know what I'm going to go have for lunch now.
Yeah, but if you do it too much, then if you happen to get a penalty for this reason or for others, then in the semi-automated manual letter you get back, they might say, oh, remove this link, remove this link. At the end of the day, UMoz is a blog, and they can say they're high quality all they like. It's whether or not Google's algorithms determine they're high quality. I personally think they're fairly high quality, but it depends on what Google's algorithms are detecting. And so we should remove these ethical terms from the lexicon entirely. It shouldn't be a good link or a bad link. It shouldn't be a good site or a bad site. Not only is that highly frustrating for someone who's done an ethics PhD and completely subjective, it's a terrible, terrible public relations strategy, right? Because now, and Matt Cutts has told me this, now they literally have issues where some, I'm not going to mention the company, are getting annoyed because they were told by someone at Google, or maybe even a top contributor, that they were low quality. And they had a low quality site, and that they considered that to be the same as slander. So I think Google's made a mistake, even pulling this ethical public relations strategy into it and calling things good or bad. They really should have just said I don't know what else they could say, but they should have said something else, because this opens up a huge can of worms.
You know what opens up a huge can of worms? The French blogger who was sued by who was fined by a French court for ranking too well with a negative review about a restaurant.
C'est la vie.
And now he saw it. It kind of backfired. It's hilarious. All that search term is in like 400 different newspapers out there. It ranks like crazy.
Okay.
Oh,
so
sorry.
The thing is, though, is that there's going to be issues where people are going to have problems and things like that. And yes, there's going to be sites with issues. And the thing is, though, is that
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry. Could you hear all that? I'm sorry.
No, just the thanks. So the thing is, there's going to be problems, and unfortunately, I do think that a link should be a link should be a link. I treat all links as they're the same. If they're no followed or they're followed or whatever, I'm going to look at them the same, and I'm going to say, okay, I mean, what happens if you went and got 1 million links tomorrow and they're all no followed links? Well, Google's still going to see that and go, okay, what did you do to get 1 million links? They might all be no follow, but what did you do? Because how hard would that be to go back in a month or 2 months from now and turn that into the follow type link? So there could be a gaming of the system, and I don't agree with that. And so, for me, I treat all links as they're all equal. Now, did that link show up in those three for that guy? Yeah, I think that that just naturally showed up in there. I guarantee the guy who was writing the review or writing the to the webmaster from Google, he's not going to check those links, or she's not going to check those links. That's the thing. I mean, they're trusting Google that that's high quality, that Google's already done the high quality work for the algorithm. They have tools that monitor that stuff. And, is something going to fall in there that's a good stuff? Yeah, it's going to happen. But I think it's more of a signal. What more had that guy done? Had anybody... I mean, I never really got the domain. I didn't go back and I didn't do a link profile on the guy's website. I don't know. Did anybody else here do that?
No.
Okay, so...
I don't have time to do that. He can worry about his own problems.
Exactly.
If he hires me, I'll do it. But I've got paying customers. I got a line of paying customers.
He can hire you. I won't take the work. I don't take clients that have been penalized anymore. I just won't deal with the headache.
It made it in Moz because it's notable to Moz, I mean, it gives Rand something to talk about. I mean, I like Rand and all, but he needs something to blog about. So you gotta pick a something.
I completely.
Speaking of which, actually, one of the most notable things I saw over the past week was the whole America movie that Fox actually did a report on Google not showing their show times and search results.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I actually went through and started looking at and evaluating the credibility behind that and the difference between who shows up for show times, because it's not my industry, but who shows up for show times and who doesn't, and the knowledge graph surrounding all that. That's a pretty interesting case study right there. So if you want something to case study, I'd look at that rather than go back links to some guy's site who's a spammer.
I actually would be very interested in maybe co-writing a paper with you on that. I think that would be quite interesting to talk about.
There was a lot of things in that example. Like we looked at, it was me and my buddy here, my SEO guy. We looked at mentions of movies. So like the spike for the search in that term America the movie, was pretty flat, and then we compared it to like How to Train a Dragon, and you saw an immediate spike on the release date.
Are you saying that was a marketing ploy? Are you saying that was their marketing ploy to get in front of, to complain about Google and then people just go see the movie because millions of more people saw it now?
Could be. I there was no. I don't think there was any marketing thought ahead of time. I don't think they set the ground to take off the way most of these movies do on opening night.
That is an interesting idea, though. Matt and Thomas and everybody else, what do you think in terms of how responsible is Google to make sure that those SERPs are accurate, or vis-a-vis, how much trust do you think the average user is putting into those results these days? How much do you think the average user thinks that these results are vetted and that they trust them more because they're ranking?
Oh, you're breaking up. Okay, so I can kind of answer his question a little bit. If you want to really test this theory, there's a great place to go. Phenomenal place to go where people spend, or people have money and they will spend it online if they can figure out how to use the internet. And that is senior citizen centers. Not a joke. I'm serious. Thomas, you got a lot of them around you.
That's for sure.
So the thing is, though, is if you test them, if you ask them, if you do a usability study, go to a senior citizen center and ask them, and take screenshots and things like that, and ask them what they trust more. You're going to find out that senior citizens now, because their kids and grandkids have told them to trust Google so much, the senior citizens, 100%, the 65 and plus crowd, unless they're in SEO or in the marketing industry, completely and explicitly trust Google 100%.
No, I agree. I think it's been that way for years. That's why getting a ranking on Google is so powerful, because the winners in the U.S., the best always wins, according to common, and it's a third party that's basically saying, hey, these guys are winners. We're putting them at the top of our rankings. So it's...
Yep. All right.
People trust Google way too much, and the flip side of that is the fact that the Audacity box even suggests that Google could be manipulating this for whatever reason is even funnier to me, because they think it just happens. Like, oh yeah, I got a movie out, I have showtimes up, and there are showtimes that show up for showtimes when you search for the term with showtimes, but like the audacity to think this should just automatically happen. Is Google's at fault because this isn't automatically happening the way that Google makes it happen.
All right, so we got a couple minutes left. If anybody wants to attend SMX, I guess I have a discount code I can hand out to people. So email me or send me a thing. I bet Barry's got 25 million codes.
No, I don't. I don't know any.
So if anybody wants to go, I think it's like 15% off or something like that. I need to reread the email. Let me know. Love to see you in New York. I think that'd be a good time, and I will be at PubCon as well this year. So it's going to be an interesting 2 weeks for that. I want all of you to go have a great weekend. Get away from your computers. I have about 4 more hours, and then I can turn my computer off and enjoy and go play with my dog. I'm going to the beach. So anyways, you guys have a good one, and party on.
See you guys. Thanks for having us.